Can we get our Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Student Trustee Malik,
Yes.
Trustee Withrow, absent. Trustee Gonzalez-Ewan, Trustee Napoli Bellarice,
Here.
Trustee Delphine Polk, absent. Trustee Johannes,
Here.
Trustee Gonzalez Brito,
Here.
Trustee Quinlan.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Can we, Trustee Reese is going to read our affirmation of statement of cooperation.
Sure. The Peralta Community College District Board of Trustees is committed through an annual self-evaluation and the establishment of meaningful goals. We dedicate ourselves to a high-performing team on behalf of the people we represent in helping students reach their educational goals. We, therefore, commit to honoring and upholding these commitments in words and in action. The full statement of cooperation is attached to the agenda, but in summary, we commit to three things: build trust and seek to understand each other, be prepared and follow good governance and ethical protocols, and lastly, model the behavior we want others to exhibit.
Thank you. We have a report of action, items of action taken in closed session. Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
So the motion was made by Trustee Gonzalez-Ewan and the second was made by Trustees Gonzalez-Brito.
Student Trustee Malik,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Ewan,
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice,
Yes.
Trustee Johannes,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Brito,
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Can I get a motion for approval of the minutes?
Second.
The motion was made by Trustee Gonzalez and the second was made by Trustee Johannes.
Student Trustee Malik,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez-Ewan,
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice,
Yes.
Trustee Johannes,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Brito,
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Do we have an Associated Student Government report? Okay. We have a Peralta Classified Senate report. And I believe we have a District Academic Senate report. Thank you, President Blake.
Good evening, trustees, chancellor, college administrators, and Peralta community. My name is Leslie Blakey, and I'm the District Academic Senate President. Summer term started yesterday with its good and bad news. The good news, the classes will be done in 6 weeks. And bad news, the classes will be done in 6 weeks. People often underestimate the intensity of summer classes. For instance, the non-majors general biology class that I've taught for years is a 4-unit class. In a regular term, that means 3 hours of lecture plus 3 hours of lab, so 6 hours a week over essentially 18 weeks. And of course, for each lecture hour in class, you plan 2 hours out of class for another 6 hours a week. In the summer term, you cover the same material, so essentially have 18 hours a week in class for the 6 weeks and still need to do that out of class time of reading, textbook, reviewing notes, writing up lab information, and studying for exams. So good luck for the students and the faculty teaching. And my appreciation to the classified administrators who work so diligently to facilitate all the college processes during this intense time where it's so important to hit those time-sensitive issues. As I watched the recording of the last board meeting, I learned many things about our shared governance processes and some important lessons for improvement. By far, as those of you who are here know, the most conversation was about the action item to vote on the resolution that was an update on the goals that the board had set for itself in the January retreat regarding the transformation of the Peralta District. First, I want to thank the trustees, particularly Board President Quinlan, for their statements of support for the shared governance process. It struck me that perhaps people did not understand the unseen labor that is part of that shared governance process. Senate presidents and the PFT leaders work together to appoint faculty to college committees that represent those faculty constituencies. For district committees that are detailed in the shared governance handbook, the district academic senate president and the PFT president work together to ensure that faculty from a variety of disciplines, instructional and student services, as well as different campuses, were appointed to the task forces and committees. And I know that my classified senate and SEIU union colleagues, as well as the chancellor, were equally diligent in their appointments, resulting in committees that allowed for diverse representation, meaningful participation, and opportunities for disagreement as well as agreement. For instance, on the Unification Task Force, the faculty representatives were the DAS president, myself, also a Laney faculty member, and the DAS VP, Tom Renberger, a Merritt faculty member. And the two PFT representatives were Jess Senseri, College of Alameda faculty, and Jennifer Schnosky, Merritt faculty. So Merritt faculty were well represented. Student services were represented by admin and BCC by classified professionals on the committee. If anything, we had too many STEM faculty between Jennifer chemistry, Tom physics, and me biology. I think Jeff had some things to say. Wait, I'm the only history person here. However, as we heard at the last couple of board meetings, there were faculty who wanted to express their disagreement with the recommendations. And while I appreciate the concerns of my esteemed colleagues, I do want to add some context. For instance, Senate President-elect Dan Lawson mentioned in his public comments, as well as his Peralta All email, the Merritt resolution from December 2025 opposing the merger. But he neglected to mention that that Merritt resolution came to DAS and was voted down with 1 yes vote and 12 no's. I want to remind you that DAS is made up of 3 elected representatives from each of the colleges, and the executive committee of DAS is elected by those representatives. So a 12 no to 1 yes. In addition, the fiscal concerns raised have been addressed in multiple meetings at both the Laney and Merritt Senates, as well as other presentations, and those presentations were referenced in the Chancellor's presentation on June 9th of the formal presentations timelines. You can find that on the slide there, the huge amount of work that was done, particularly in spring 2026. Despite these presentations, we have not been able to determine what specific answers the fiscal concerned folks are looking for, nor have we heard any other possible solutions to address the fiscal situation that was presented in the October 2025 board meeting. So no solutions have been suggested, but the same questions have been continued to be raised. While there were discussions and questions about this process raised within the college senates and addressed in presentations throughout spring 2026, there have also been informal conversations with Senate presidents and constituency representatives on the task forces. Many of the folks who brought public comment last meeting have chosen to work outside of the shared governance processes. I don't expect unanimous support, but I do hope that there would have been acknowledgement of the many discussions that took place. I do encourage these folks to continue to participate within the process so that we continue to develop robust solutions to our complicated problems. And as I noted while watching last board meeting, I think I need to continue to work with the Senate presidents on educating folks on how to participate. There's a difference for public comment on non-agenda items versus agenda items. And that public comment is also not discussion. Discussion occurs by members of the committee or if presenters are invited for clarification on points, but that is not the time for the public to participate. And as we saw last meeting, I think we need to work on some education on that. We have had presentations on the Brown Act during Flex Days, and I will commit to hosting some brown bag information sessions to help folks understand how Senates work, constituency representation, and how to ensure their voices can be heard. Students at the May board meeting spoke with heartfelt concerns, but incorrect assumptions that the Merritt campus would be closed and the Street Scholars program shuttered. Chancellor Gilkerson spoke at the end of that public comment period to correct those misunderstandings, but yet we heard similar comments again at the June 9th board meeting, indicating that communication could be improved. So I would ask the college presidents, in addition to the excellent communication you already do with your Senate presidents, to perhaps add in agenda items into your president's council's meetings. And if people are unaware, the president's council's meetings combine the presidents of the student senate, classified senate, faculty senate, and administration at the college. So add an agenda item in the fall on how to add additional methods of communication to better inform our students. Perhaps our students could give us ideas of what works better. Because sending emails and Canvas information doesn't seem to make the connection. Maybe I'll do a syllabus quiz. I do want to address the often mentioned concern of losing history with the college unification. First, I don't think a change means we lose history. And second, I want to reflect on some history. In the 1950s, there was Oakland Junior College, which became Oakland City College, which had two campuses, the Merritt campus on Grove Street and the Laney Trade and Technical School. In 1966, the Black Panther Party was born on the Merritt campus on Grove Street. And in 1971, Merritt moved to its present campus in the Hills over numerous protests by students and community members, according to the source I found. So I commend the students and faculty of Merritt College as they are continuing the legacy of fiercely defending their merit. But we're not losing history. In other things, I heard Trustee Gonzalez Brito's concerns about SAS and supporting students, and I wish I could have reiterated the Chancellor's point about the listening session that specifically pulled together the SAS folks from the 4 campuses, as well as the district senate presentation we had on our March 3rd meeting, and that can be found attached to the DAS agenda for that meeting in board docs. I love board docs. I have all my presentations there. And in that presentation and that discussion we had at DAS, it really emphasized how much the SAS departments work together already and how they continue to work to reduce barriers for our students as they swirl among campuses. So I do hope that that continues to bear out the need for the support for our students, as well as how much people are really aware of them. But I was particularly disheartened to hear from Trustee Johannes and Trustee Gonzalez Brito that they were more willing to listen to the few loud voices that worked outside of the shared governance process and came to public comment, and more importantly, criticize the folks on the other side for not coming to public comment. As was said multiple times during the board meeting, a tremendous amount of work has been done in the task forces and shared governance committees at the college level and at the district. This work has been documented in board meetings, in minutes, and referenced multiple times in the Transformation Tracker newsletters I have sent out over the past academic year. When you have spent a year working on committees, representing your constituency, working with folks who contact you to bring their concerns to the committee meetings, then working with the committee to develop recommendations on the charge you were given in the transformation plan, and presented those recommendations in multiple public forums, all documented in board docs and minutes of meetings, and those recommendations then go forward to the PBC, which is the highest committee in the district, and all 4 Senate presidents and all 4 college presidents attend those meetings, and then those recommendations go to the chancellor, and the chancellor then makes recommendations to the committee and to the board. Folks on the committee assume their work will speak for itself. And for the record, folks who served on those committees, in addition to their regular work, show up for the transformation or extra committees, as well as their family obligations, their regular work, their community engagement, and that should be held in as high esteem as folks who show up for public comment. If we want to have folks continue to participate in shared governance, then we need to honor the work done within the process. So while I'm sure it was not the intent of the 2 trustees to dismiss the work of the folks on the task forces when they asked why weren't folks from the task forces here to defend their work, it was certainly the impact, and I heard that from several faculty. Change is hard. Transformation to better serve students with new organizational ways while managing budget deficits, enrollment declines, and operational challenges is hard. President Obama had a plaque on his desk stating, "Hard things are hard," which is a great reminder that just because something is hard doesn't mean it isn't worth doing. And so as we continue to move forward in this transformation process that was voted on by this board at the last meeting in an update to your own board goals, voted on by this board in January, I want to remind the trustees and the administration that the faculty I have the honor to represent as DAS president, along with the college senate presidents, we are here to be your partners, and please reach out to us with your questions. Thank you, and I wish you a good break in July before the next official meeting in August.
Thank you. Public communication on matters that are not on the agenda.
First, we have Jeff Sinceri and then Leslie Blakey, who has ceded her time to Jeff. So he has a total of 6 minutes.
There you go. Hello, board members and all assorted managerial leaders present tonight and watching on YouTube, and those faculty, staff, students, and even other managers who will be watching this on YouTube next week or later this week. I want to take a quick moment to make a statement outside of my role and responsibilities as PFT president and maybe bring it back around to something that is more germane to my official role. So first, I wanted to make the time to thank the roughly 25 to 30 faculty members who volunteered their time and the better part of about a year and a half to making sure that the process of merging, unifying, or transforming the district and its campuses was and will be equitable, far-reaching, well-planned, and inclusive of all our students and programs. Also, I wanted to thank all the classified staff who took part as well, and also the 12 to 16 students who took time from their schedules to volunteer and attend meetings, do research, present opinions, work on forging policy, conduct surveys, basically making sure that all of our students are not left out of the process, and especially not left out of the result. I do think it has been mentioned, but I worry that in the midst of the more vocal voices we may have heard in the last few weeks, that the work of those faculty, classified staff, and students has not been properly appreciated by all. I'd also like to thank those same faculty, classified, and student leaders and committees and task forces who did the long work, the hard work, the volunteer work, again, for well over a year to make sure that funding our categorical programs will be protected. And even those members of management, which is not really my thing to compliment management, but even those members of management who continue to work with the state chancellor's office, and our community to make sure that harm does not come to the students who count on these programs we offer. I just want to say thank you to all of you, lest your work become underappreciated by even more than those who just tuned in recently. That was tough. As a faculty member who willingly volunteered my last year and a half to 2 years, I'm proud of the work we've done, even if it goes unnoticed, because I've done the work and, dare I say, the math, which is harder for me, but I'm into it. I've done that to know that unification, however cosmetically distasteful it may seem to some, is what we must do to keep our faculty employed and the students in our community learning and achieving. I apologize, I should have said a lot of this 2 weeks ago. Now, as PFT president, even with what we have now, the work is not done. And even with most of the ideas and policies, they won't be implemented until we as faculty can work together to figure out the effects of these changes. How will the transformation affect our working conditions? What kind of compensation comes with the responsibilities that will likely change as we move forward? How will we respond to the changes and the effects of the transformation? And what will we need to demand to ensure equity for faculty as we note the rising number of items that we are tasked with that we haven't in years past? Time was that instructional faculty just taught their classes. But in recent years, and certainly in the wake of the transformation, the work that we've done, we are tasked with so much more than just instruction. Indeed, our faculty and student services are also working with a massive shortage of staff. Even with lower enrollment, our students outnumber our counselors by such a margin that their work is an uphill climb to a peak that will likely never be reached or in sight. How do we address the inequities for faculty? How do we address them when our own working conditions dictate how successful our students will be and how much they can achieve? These are the items and issues that we as faculty need to address in bargaining. And in so many ways, we'll need to discover these things together when speaking to the district as we move forward. And I know that I can count on all of our PFT members, faculty, to take part in this process and contribute to the bargaining, because true equity, whether in the workplace or with our salaries, will never be given to us. We'll have to fight for it together. And I know that our PFT faculty here at Peralta, throughout our campuses, and the district will do just that. And of course, along the way, we'll also be looking to you as board members to support faculty and students as this process unfolds. Thank you.
Thank you. There any other communication?
Laney Gassis.
Hello, everybody. I'm Laney Gastis. I am the advisor to Peralta's only student-run publication and the Senate president at Laney College. In my role as an advisor, I teach the students the importance of context and the importance of taking themselves out of the story in order to present all of the important facts and information that our community needs. They have diligently been reporting on the transformation plan of this district, the financial woes of this district, all of the underpinnings of this district with a lot of dignity and integrity. And I'm really proud of them for that. As you know, I'm always up here talking about them. And we'll have another exciting announcement for you soon. I wasn't here at the last meeting because I was actually having a pretty severe health crisis, but I was contacted by several faculty members, particularly from the Laney campus, whom I represent, who told me that they were really upset with the comments that were made at the last board meeting, insinuating that folks weren't here from the other side of the story, that there wasn't enough information presented outside of the public speakers that were here at the last two meetings. And I really encourage you to look into the context of both of those last two meetings. As Leslie said, and I ask you, if you're curious about how our shared governance process played out or how it's played out with our current administration, you should really ask. Our leaders have made themselves available to you. Leslie mentioned this as well. I've written to you personally as well. A lot of you have my phone numbers. Paulina does. And I've spoken to you also as well about previous administrations and their disrespect for shared governance, right? With this whole anecdote about calling it participatory governance because faculty don't share any responsibility with what happens here. That is not the case now. And I think that there's a lot of faculty, as Jeff said as well, who have dedicated their time, their effort, their whole hearts outside of their personal lives, outside of their struggles, the lives that they try to balance in order to add to this district and make it better. And they were not happy with what they heard at the last meeting. And so I promised them that I would come and say that. At this time in Peralta, I think it's really important that we need strong leaders. And I don't mean people who stand in the back of the room and heckle folks. I mean people who show up for meetings, who are passionate about student equity, who aren't just mouthpieces for what we do, but they come and they do the work and they put in the hours and they struggle with board docs and they do all of the things that
10
we are
seconds.
challenged with. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That is all the public comment we have tonight.
Thank you. College highlight reports.
Well, thank you, Board President. Good evening, trustees and community. Tonight, I'm really excited to have our college presidents provide brief year-end highlights, recognizing the significant accomplishments, student achievements, and institutional milestones from our 25-26 academic year. And so we will go ahead and begin with President Richardson from Berkeley City College.
Thank you, Chancellor. I will try to be brief. Good evening, Chancellor, Board President Quinlan, trustees, students, colleagues, Peralta community, and our greater community. I first want to highlight some of our amazing students at our recent graduation and let you know a bit about the progress that we're making at BCC. This year, we had 644 graduates who earned 1,306 degrees and certificates. The top 5 majors were liberal arts, social and behavioral sciences, psychology, social human service work, and economics. Thank you. 41% of the awards were associate degrees and associate transfer degrees, and 59% of the awards included certificates of achievement, certificates of proficiency, and non-credit certificates. Next slide, please. Our college headcount in 23-24 was 6,569. In 24-25, it was 6,985. And in 25-26, it was 7,187. So, as George Jefferson used to say, we're moving on up at BCC. This, of course, represents steadily increasing post-pandemic enrollment. Many people are responsible for this upward trend. Our amazing faculty, staff, and administrators, but I would like to take this opportunity to recognize our front line, as you see here in front of us. These are our very extraordinary student ambassadors who, under the very capable, inspiring leadership of Gail Pendleton, make our students feel at home every day. I know this because I walk by their desk every morning and see their smiles, and I'm very proud of the type of environment that we're providing for students at BCC. They provide them with information, encouragement, and support that they need as they navigate our campus. Next slide, please. Workforce development is also on the rise at BCC. Many thanks to Dean Kyla O and Director Ilona McGriff for their support of these important programs. BCC is making great strides expanding opportunities as well for our dual enrollment students. The student on your left is a graduate, on my left, is a graduate of our Early Educator Apprenticeship Program. Early childhood education is one of our apprenticeship pathways for high school students who earn while they learn, getting real-world job experience, career certification, and collecting college credit at the same time. Nearly 90 OUSD high school students graduated with certification this spring. Counselors Skylar Barton and Susan Trong are on the ground floor at our partner high schools, sharing these amazing opportunities with students. BCC also launched the first middle school dual enrollment partnership with Oakland's Longview Middle School in 2025, enrolling 50 scholars in spring 2026 alone. We are currently working to establish career education pathways with Berkeley High School and programs such as multimedia art, health and human services, and biotechnology. Last year, we launched dual enrollment pathways with Piedmont High School, offering college-level calculus and business courses, with offerings expanding in 26-27. Photographed in the middle is Counselor Susan Chong alongside Leonard Boone, who started his enrollment at BCC after 24 years of life being incarcerated. He was introduced to Berkeley City College through a current rising scholar student and enrolled full-time just this past spring. While incarcerated, Leonard completed college-level courses, which BCC was able to convert into college credit. He majored in communication and graduated with a communications associate degree for transfer. He is undecided on his transfer options between San Francisco State and Cal State East Bay, and may be returning to BCC to get additional courses needed to apply for transfer at UC Berkeley. Leonard has dedicated his life to transformation, education, and being a positive role model for younger people. He shared that BCC has allowed him to thrive and look at life beyond what he thought was possible. Next slide, please. This slide represents one of the highlights of my career in education. 4 students who are as close as any siblings that I've ever met, Prab, Subu, Navaneet, and Sansar, came to us from Albany High School. These students have been friends since 8th grade. They've been encouraging each other, holding one another accountable, just keeping I think they have this email chain or this text chain going on where they're always in communication. When the call went out for their notices from UC Berkeley, they decided to open their decisions in my office. And truly, that was one of the highlights, as I said, of my career. All 4 got in. Yeah, it was very exciting, and many of them with a full ride. I did a video, which was really short because I dropped the phone and was so excited and yelling and screaming along with them. Trustee Ayan Malik is also part of the brotherhood formed by these young men. And as we all know, he was accepted into Yale, UC Berkeley, MIT, and he may have more exciting news to share with us in his own report. This kind of transfer success is not by chance, as we have faculty and staff who are very intentional in supporting our students in their academic journeys. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention our exceptional and dedicated career and transfer coordinator, Andrea Williams, for all the care and time she invests in our students, helping them achieve their transfer goals. Lastly, next slide, please. I'd like to share this beautiful picture of our new building, BCC West at Sunset is what we call it. It was shared with me by our Kitchell partner, Camille Rao. The ribbon cutting will take place on Thursday, September 10th, between 12:30 and 1:30. Please put that on your calendars. So I'd like to extend a heartfelt thank you to the taxpayers of Alameda County for supporting Measure G. Your investment will have generational impact. This concludes my report for Berkeley City College.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Richardson. Now I'm pleased to invite our new Executive Vice President, Dr. Nicole Porter, to present on behalf of College of Alameda. Trustees, I wanted to let you know that President Melanie Dixon wanted to be here tonight. She is actually co-leading the Black CEO retreat for the state that's happening in Sacramento. I want to say Dr. Johnson was there earlier, came back for this meeting, but since she's one of the co-leads, so we're very pleased to have Dr. Porter here filling in.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President Quinlan, members of the board, and Chancellor Gilkerson. I appreciate that warm welcome. And as President Dixon, she does apologize. And as one of the co-chairs of this year, their theme was designation to implementation, building sustainability, Black serving institution ecosystems through leadership, partnership, and collective action. As one of California's inaugural Black serving institution designees, College of Alameda is proud to contribute to this important statewide conversation and to learn alongside leaders who are advancing equitable outcomes for Black students throughout our system. Tonight, I have the pleasure of giving the highlights of a remarkable year at College of Alameda, a year defined by innovation, service, student achievement, and community impact. Slide 1. Thank you. At College of Alameda, instruction remains at the center of everything we do. With the support of this board, we are proud to welcome 2 outstanding faculty members this fall in anthropology and apparel design and merchandising. These hires reflect our continued investment in student success, academic excellence, and pathways that support transfer, career education, and lifelong learning. They also reflect our commitment to ensuring students have access to programs that align with both their aspirations and workforce opportunities. I would also like to recognize the extraordinary work of our faculty in advancing affordability and access through our zero textbook costs initiatives. Recently, that you may have heard from the State Chancellor's Office, reported that students are nearly saving $33 million in textbook costs during the 24-25 academic year, demonstrating the powerful impact of ZTC pathways. College of Alameda faculty have been the leaders in this work. Between fall of 2025 and fall of 2026, as we're approaching, we expanded our zero textbook cost offerings by 93 courses, helping remove financial barriers, ensuring students have access to learning materials from day one. This reflects our shared belief that cost should never stand in the way of opportunity. Our faculty also made significant schedule and modality adjustments to better meet the needs of students. Through collaboration, flexibility, and a student-centered approach, those efforts contributed to a 24% increase in student persistence. More than a number, that increase represents students staying connected, continuing their educational journey, and moving closer to their achieving goals. Slide. Our services. This year, our student services professionals demonstrated the power of acting with urgency and purpose when data identifies a need. During fall of 2025, student equity discussions, concerns emerged regarding student educational plan completion rates, one of the most important tools we have for helping our students navigate a clear pathway to completion. Our counseling team immediately responded. Through intentional outreach, focused engagement, and process improvements, student educational plan completion increased from 13% to 49% this academic year. Behind every plan is a student with a greater clarity, direction, and confidence about their future. While we are proud of this progress and the work that we are doing, we know it still continues, and we remain committed to closing equity gaps, expanding access to support services, and ensuring every student receives the guidance and support needed to succeed. Next, our students. Our students continue to inspire us every day. The class of 2026 embodied resilience, determination, and excellence. This year, College of Alameda celebrated 320 graduates and awarded 609 certificates and degrees. Even more impressive, half of our graduating class earned honor distinctions. These accomplishments represent students balancing work, family, financial responsibilities, and countless challenges while remaining committed to their educational goals. We know they didn't do this by themselves. It reflects not only their perseverance, but also the dedication of our faculty and our staff and the continued investment this board makes in student-centered education. At College of Alameda, we often say, believe, achieve, succeed. The class of 2026 is living proof of that premise. Next, our community. The impact of College of Alameda extends well beyond our classrooms. Our faculty, staff, students continue to strengthen the communities we serve through leadership, service, civic engagement, and workforce partnerships. This year, I had the privilege of participating in the Alameda Chamber Leadership Program, helping further strengthen relationships between the college, local businesses, civic organizations, and community leaders. Across the institution, faculty continue to serve on statewide committees and professional organizations, helping shape policy, practice, and innovation through our California's community college system. Our students are gaining meaningful real-world experiences that connect learning to opportunity. One example is MESA student Julia Darue, whose internship with Long Shot Space Technologies provided hands-on experience in an emerging industry while preparing her for future STEM opportunities. Students are also demonstrating leadership through active participation in shared governance, helping inform decisions that shape our college and contribute to the district's transformation plan. Whether in the classroom, workforce, community, or governance process, our students are not simply preparing for their future, they're helping create it. Our farewell, slide 5. So before concluding, we would like to recognize several members of our College of Alameda family whose retirement and departures mark the close of extraordinary chapters in our institution's history. This year, we celebrate and honor Dr. Mildred Lewis, Jacinda Marshall, Selman Montgomery, Trish Nelson, O.J. Roundtree, Laura Spencer Vaca, and Jane Smithson. Collectively, these individuals represent decades of service to College of Alameda, Peralta, and the students we proudly serve. While their roles varied, they shared a common commitment, a deep dedication to students, a pursuit of excellence, and a belief in the transformative power of education. They have mentored, counseled, supported, encouraged, and inspired generations of students whose lives have forever changed because of their work. On behalf of President Dixon and the entire College of Alameda community, we thank you for your service, your leadership, and commitment. Closing remarks. You can go to the last slide. There we go. As we reflect on the academic year, we are reminded that our success is built on the dedication of our employees, the resilience of our students, the strength of our community partnerships, and the support of the Board of Trustees. This evening's presentation highlighted the many ways College of Alameda continues to advance our mission through innovative programs, responsive services, student achievement, and meaningful community engagement. None of this work happens in isolation. It is a result of faculty, classified professionals, students, administrators, and community partners working together in service of a common goal, creating opportunities for students to transform their lives through education. On behalf of President Dixon and the entire College of Alameda community, we thank you for your continued partnership, advocacy, and investment in our students and our future. We are proud of what we accomplished this 25-26 academic year, and we're looking forward to build upon this momentum in the year ahead. Thank you for your time and continued support for College of Alameda.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Porter. Now I'll turn it over to President Johnson from Merritt College.
All right. Everybody doing okay? All right. So thank you, Chancellor and Board, for the opportunity to share our retrospective for the 25-26 academic year. So I'm going to keep it, let's go to the programs. So nursing has had a very good year. I'm very happy to be able to say that. I'm pleased to report that last month, the Education and Licensing Committee, the ELC, of the California Board of Registered Nursing affirmed that our nursing program has successfully addressed its outstanding issues and now is back in full compliance. So the complete BRN board is set to ratify the ELC recommendation in less than 48 hours. So we're looking forward to that. I also want to note we've also successfully recruited and hired 2 new nursing faculty members, Ann Nguyen in pediatrics and Layla Kamkar in medical surgery. We're going to be recruiting for 2 more positions next year, a second medical surgery faculty member and 1 in psychiatric nursing. And finally, we are pleased to share that we had 20 new nurses graduate from our program last month. So we're very excited about that. As you may still same slide. As you may recall, we started off the year, take you back a little bit, coming together to celebrate the official ribbon cutting for the Landscape Horticulture Complex. And as you know, this building is not just a stunning facility, grand in design and innovative in function, but it's also a living testament to Merritt's commitment to the community we serve. It's a place where education, sustainability, and opportunity flourish together for generations to come. So thank you to our district leadership, Chancellor, Board of Trustees, and all those who supported this endeavor, and for believing in Merritt, and for ensuring that this project was carried forward with purpose and possibility. Last, for the programs, I want to talk a little bit about the Aspira Center, which is the jewel of our HSI planning and a student support resource that will open where the bookstore was formerly located. We invite you to attend the opening that's in the fall, and thank the board again for approving the funding to design, furnish, and properly outfit the space. And I also want to note that Aspira was the driving force behind probably our most lively event of the year, which was the Lowrider Showcase. If you had a chance to check that out, a lot of enthusiasm and excitement around that event. Next slide. Talk a little bit about a couple of things we did in partnership with the community. After months and months of planning and anticipation, we hosted the 2026 Black Men's Brain Health Conference in February. And that was, if I might say, an unmitigated success. It marked the 5th time in as many years that the event has been held during Super Bowl week. And the feedback that we got was that the 1,700 people who registered for that conference, that was up 80% from the preceding year. And the preceding year, it was in New Orleans. So the fact that we beat out New Orleans in February is saying something. Academics, practitioners, and community partners and activists led forums and workshops focused not only on the link between football and degenerative brain disease, I guess we can say, but also on raising awareness around addressing mental wellness for the populations that we serve. And the following month, we partnered with Alameda County to put on the 2nd annual Behavioral Health Department's Reentry Conference. The theme was Beyond Survival, Reclaiming Power, Purpose, and Possibility. And that brought together representatives from county agencies such as behavioral health and probation. We had nearly 200 people register for that event. 50 community-based organizations also attended. And we also had Merritt students come out in droves. And now this is one of our most meaningful events. And the outcome that I'm most proud of was the opportunity to reaffirm the partnership between Alameda County and our students, particularly the Community Social Services COSER, a program that continues to serve as a bridge between our institution and the reentry community. Next slide. This is where we talk a little bit about our students. I want to highlight first and foremost the Career and Wellness Resource Fair that we held last semester, because that underscores our commitment to supporting and guiding our students. So our Sankofa program partnered with the community group Building Opportunities for Self-Sufficiency, better known as BOSS, as well as key campus programs, EOPS, SAS, Basic Needs Center, and ASMC. So what was it? What did we accomplish? First of all, we had more than 25 employers come to that event. We served more than 200 students at that event. Students had the opportunity to participate in mock interviews, employer networking, and career exploration. We gave away more than 100 bags of groceries during that event. We created a comprehensive clothing closet to help people with interviews, professional attire, and we had free grooming services. We cut haircuts. We gave a lot of haircuts that day to get people right before they went on their interviews. So this success, I think, really underscores the importance of continued investment and partnership-driven programming that aligns Merritt College and our mission with the strategic priorities of equity. But the reason why, back it up. The reason why we exist, I just want to say this. I just want to highlight a little bit about commencement, because that's the end goal. That's why we do what we do. We had more than 800 students petition for graduation. I just want to give you a couple of highlights. More than 150 people earned degrees in the social and behavioral sciences. I'm just highlighting the most popular field, perhaps. We had 180 individual students earned degrees in health sciences, another 75 in natural sciences. We had over 200 people earn certificates of proficiency in child development. So really looking forward to that building coming online. That's going to be the kind of the crowning achievement. Next slide. And finally, we also have some farewells. I want to acknowledge and thank our dear colleagues as they move on from our Merritt family: Lilia Chavez, Molly Seelan, Allison Hunter, Chris Gramp, and Inga Marshallonis. Each of them has made a significant contribution to Merritt College over their many years of service. I added up collectively, these 5 individuals have given nearly 100 years of their life to Merritt College and to Peralta, and that means something. So we want to thank them for that. And the mark that they've left, we want to acknowledge it's going to be an indelible one. So we say thank you to them as they begin the next chapter of their life journey. And that concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Dr. Johnson. And now I'm pleased to round it out with Dr. President Rebecca Opsada from Laney College.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I wanted to take this opportunity to share some information about 2 new and exciting programs at Laney that you may not have been aware of, and also to talk about our Restoring Our Communities program. But before we get there, I just thought these hats were so cute. I know, they're so cute. So these are some hats from graduation, which I know that many of you were at. And the woman here on the right-hand side was the ASLC president this last year. And she is transferring to UCLA, and she had this super cool hat that says Oakland Forever on it. I really liked it. So the first organization, the first thing I want to share about is our Restoring Our Communities program. And you are undoubtedly familiar with this program. It's been around for a long time. It's dedicated to eliminating the stigma of being formerly incarcerated and reversing the effects of the mass incarceration in the school to prison pipeline. And the goal is to support students from re-entry to graduation and or to transfer. And I want to share a few great things that this program had this year. First of all, the chancellor shared on this in one of her reports. 3 Restoring Our Community students who are currently in the Alameda County Juvenile Justice Center, currently housed there, graduated with their associate's degrees this spring. 2 of these students are transferring, one of them to CSU East Bay, and one of them is going to UCLA. And they also had another student transfer to an HBCU. Also at Juvenile Hall, Rock was able to start a new class at Camp Sweeney in culinary. So we keep expanding the offerings and the types of classes that we are offering in that facility. And the culinary class is new. Rock also this year provided technical and professional assistance to 25 new students who are currently in a federal transitional home where they are technically still incarcerated and have very limited freedom and ability to move around. Rock hosted 2 clean slate clinics with the Alameda County Public Defenders team, which served 40 Peralta students to clean their records. And finally, the partnership that we have with Spark Point Oakland continues, where there's a financial coach who meets with the Rock students one-on-one to discuss budgets, savings, and credits. The program continues to expand and grow, and there are some pictures here from the graduation event that they had, and also from the Laney graduation of some Rock students. The next program I want to highlight is something that you might not have heard about before. It is an English language learners healthcare pathway grant bridge program. And this program, I've got the graphic in here. Step 1 is what happens at Laney College. And this is part of the Adult Education Consortium. Laney receives state funding to build this bridge program for English language learners who want to get careers in the healthcare industry. And so starting in 24, Laney faculty started writing curriculum, and now we are running 4 cohorts a year of approximately 28 to 35 students each, which means in this last year, we served approximately 120 students who went through this bridge course. It's an intensive program. It runs for 12 hours a week for 8 weeks, where the students learn the language norms of entry-level healthcare career, as well as the language norms for these positions. They make resumes. They learn all the different words that you need to be able to get jobs in healthcare. And the Laney Bridge programs move on to step 2 to many programs at Merritt College in phlebotomy, medical assisting, dental assisting, pharmacy tech, health and human services, and clinical training programs, and at the other sister colleges. So this program is new, and it's just really doing amazing things for students. The next slide shows a picture of alums from the first year who came back to share their experience after they were in the cohort. They left, they came back and shared them with some students this spring, since we run a bunch of different cohorts. The last program I want to highlight is also new at Laney College. We started a couple of years ago with an academic department in artificial intelligence, and there were several important things that happened this year with that program. First is we have been dedicated as the Bay Area AI Center of Excellence, and we have a facility on campus in the F building that is now being used for workshops and AI classes. And that's also in partnership with the City of Oakland. The City of Oakland has a new AI Activation Zone program. It's getting built, and we're working closely with them on that as well. The picture down on the bottom and in the middle is when a couple of months ago, we hosted 12 people from Estonia who came to learn about, there were teachers from Estonia. They came to learn about the AI program that we have and what our focus is on teaching it. And we had a lively, very fun conversation. And that professor in the middle is Tuan from Laney, who's very excited about AI. And then finally, in this department, we completed new curriculum. So we have 9 AI courses that are all coded AI, 1 math course, and 4 AI certificates of achievement, and other programs that are now built, and our students are enrolling in them and they're taking them. And we're really, really excited about it. And I wanted to make sure everybody knew. So that concludes my 3 major highlights.
Well, thank you so much, President Apsada. So I want to thank our college presidents for sharing these highlights. While we often focus on challenges before us, these presentations are a good reminder of the extraordinary work happening across our colleges every day. I want to thank our faculty, classified professionals, administrators, and students, those student employees, those ambassadors, and for another year of dedication, resilience, and achievement. Their successes belong to all of you, and I'm really grateful for the continued commitment to our students and communities. So congratulations on a wonderful year. Thank you to our president for those reports. Yes, so I'll roll right into my chancellor's report. It's very brief tonight, trustees. I wanted to make sure front and center, but I do have a couple of things I wanted to say. So first and foremost, is that I want to just say I'm pleased to share some exciting news. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you and welcome to the students. Our summer term has begun and started yesterday, and after our lovely graduation ceremony. So I'm delighted to welcome our students back on campuses. I'm pleased to share some exciting news regarding federal investment in our district. On Wednesday, July 8th at 12:30 p.m., Congresswoman Lateefah Simon will visit Laney College to officially recognize the Community Project Funding Award supporting the Fab Labs at both Laney College and College of Alameda. Representative Simon's office has requested a press event and facility tour at Laney College to highlight the impact of the investment on student learning, innovation, and workforce preparation. Local media and community leaders are expected to attend. Please save the date, and we will share additional details as soon as they are finalized by the Congresswoman's office. Next, tonight, I'd like to share a moment to recognize Mark as he prepares for retirement after many years of service to Peralta. I found this group of headshots. I thought it was fun. So I have to admit, this one is hard for me, trustees and community. When I sat down to write Mark's retirement card, I found myself unexpectedly emotional. And on my way to his retirement celebration, still feeling a little teary-eyed, I happened to look over and see one of our I Love Your Future ads on the side of an AC Transit bus. In the ads were our students wearing the college-specific t-shirts that Mark helped create because he believed our students should see themselves reflected in the story of Peralta. He believed they should feel pride in the colleges and in who they are. In that moment, I was reminded that Mark's legacy isn't confined to a job title or a list of accomplishments. It's woven into the fabric of the district. It's the way we tell our story. It's the pride in our students, how our students feel when they wear their college colors. It's in the relationships he built and the countless ways he's helped people feel seen, valued, and connected. Someone recently shared a phrase with me that felt exactly right. If Mark isn't your favorite colleague, he's your colleague's favorite colleague. The reason that resonates is because Mark is, above all else, a genuinely good person. He exudes kindness. He exudes love. He has a remarkable ability to care deeply about people while never seeking recognition for himself. Communications professionals often spend their careers helping others shine. They celebrate the successes of students, faculty, staff, and institutions while remaining behind the scenes themselves. Mark has done that throughout his career with extraordinary grace and humility. During some of the district's most challenging periods, he remained steady, thoughtful, and committed to the mission. He helped us navigate difficult moments, celebrate important victories, and never lose sight of why this work matters. Mark, thank you for your friendship, your counsel, your compassion, and your unwavering belief in Peralta and the people who make the district so special. You have left this place better than you found it. And while we will miss you tremendously, we are grateful for the legacy you leave behind and the example you have set for all of us. Congratulations on your retirement, and thank you for everything you've done. And trustees, that concludes my chancellor's report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor. Thank you, Mark. Now have the district's annual OPEB bond program update and fiscal year 26-27 payment plan.
Thank you so much, Board President. Tonight, I'm happy to have members from Baxter and McCarley here to present our annual OPEB bond program update and the 26-27 payment plan. And I'm pleased to have David Olson, Peter Wong, and Emerson Sanders here to present. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Chancellor. Mr. President, members of the board, my name is Dave Olson. I'm a Senior Vice President at Baxter McCarley Berry. And the material I'm going to share tonight is the 7th annual OPEB bond program update. We're going to talk about 4 things: the state of the OPEB bond program, what the plan is for making the payments in the coming year, what needs to be done to make those payments, and what the program looks like moving forward. Next slide. For those of you who like to know the end at the very beginning, before we go through all the numbers and tables and wordy slides, I'll say first that the program is in as good a shape as it's been since we've been making these presentations. Second, that by our calculations, there will be $16.6 million in payments. I'll say that number not a million times, a bunch of times, due in fiscal year 2026-27, and that we plan to provide those payments by budgeting $8.7 million of district monies and by making a $7.9 million draw from Trust 1. Third, that's going to work because Trust One continues to be in significant surplus. You should also know that both the amount due on the bonds and the recommended draw from Trust One are both less than they were last year. Beyond that, both are less than we told you they would be this year when we made our report last year. Does that make sense? A little wordy. So everything's in good shape and you won't be hearing anything controversial. Next slide. As many of you know, as you may know, we typically like to start the presentation with good news, and all the basics continue to work. Retirees continue to receive the benefits they're counting on. The bonds continue to be paid on time and in full. Last summer, we did a couple of things that worked out well. You might remember that we drew an additional $10 million from Trust One and used those funds to prepay some of the Series B4 bonds, which Peter will be talking about a little bit. We also successfully remarketed the remainder of the Series B4 bonds with a line of credit from Barclays. And I should say that Barclays has been a very good partner to the district, and we have a real advocate in their San Francisco office. So that continues to work well. The fourth thing is that Trust One continues to do well. We're getting good investment returns. And despite the $10 million draw, Trust One remains well overfunded based on current projections. So a lot of good news to report. I'll say at this point that Peter Wong is here with me, as Chancellor said, and he'll be talking about the before prepayment and conversion that I mentioned. Emerson Sanders is here to answer any technical questions. Unfortunately, Vincent, who usually makes this presentation with me, is out of town this week. The four of us are the core of the Backstrom team that has helped turn this program around in recent years. Future. In terms of the future outlook, I want to make the point that this financing program was set up since 2011, I believe. There was a refunding in 2011, with somewhat elevated payments through fiscal year 2031-32. That means we're getting very close to a significant step down in annual bond obligations. And of course, we continue to like how the program's been working. It's been great to be able to make formal presentations both to this board and to the retirement board every year, and to be in conversation with the staff throughout the year. The growth of common understanding that's produced and the agreements we've made when we started this program 7 years ago has made this process much less chaotic and less confrontational. So thank you. And thank you to the Chancellor and Vice Chancellor specifically, because this $10 million prepayment really worked out well. So the next slide is about the prepayment and conversion. Peter.
Well, I'm going to talk a little bit more with details in a later slide, but here I just want to just quickly in the graphic presentation, you can see the chart on the left is before the prepayment, and the chart on the right is after the prepayment. And you can see where the debt service was spiking up in 28, 29, 30, and 31. And with the prepayment, things were smoothed down. And you can see that on the right graph. So that pretty much kind of summarized the benefit of the prepayment. And again, we'll get into more detail in a later slide.
Thank you. Next slide. So moving ahead, we have a process. Every spring, we calculate what we're going to owe in the coming year, $16.6 million. And we make a plan to cover that obligation. And every year, we make the plan in the same way. We start with the amount generated by the payroll tax, the dedicated OPEB appropriation. That's going to be $6.7 million this year. We add on a supplemental district contribution that we expect to increase in every year. So this year, that's going to be $2 million. And we make a draw from Trust One for the remainder of the obligations, but we only do the latter if Trust One is in surplus. Next slide. This year, we need an additional $7.9 million to make full payment. And Good news, Trust One continues to be in surplus. We show a surplus of $46.8 million. You see that in the bottom right as of the end of last fiscal year. So everything is good on that front. For those of you who don't remember, 7 years ago, we decided that if the amount in Trust One is greater than the calculated amount needed to make all payments through the end of the program out to 2050, maybe beyond, then the trust is determined to be in surplus. So you see that here. Trust One has been in surplus every year that we have data for, even though we've made draws in just about every one of those years. And for those of you who remain concerned, appropriately so, we want to make sure we make all those OPEB payments for employees. I wanted to point out that the value of investment in Trust One is currently $165 million. You see that in the bottom row. And the cost of making OPEB benefit payments next year will be less than $10 million. Obviously, we want to have enough money to make payments to the end of time. But what I want to emphasize in that comment is that if the situation takes an unexpected turn, we'll have plenty of time to adjust course. Next slide. The next slide shows the 10-year plan that we share every year. It's largely consistent with the plan we presented last year. Obviously, the amount of payments, the debt service payments are down because of the $10 million prepayment. We owe about $16.6 million in this next fiscal year, and we're planning to make payment with $8.7 million of district funds and a $7.9 million draw from Trust One. And you can see that what we want to do, you see this in the chart, is to gradually increase the district contribution and gradually decrease the Trust One draw. And by fiscal year 2032-33, we'll stop being reliant on those draws. And that'll be bring some opportunities. So look forward to hearing about that next year. Next slide. In summary, we made this $10 million prepayment last summer, and that's making the numbers look a lot better as we look into the future. Declining draws moving forward, payments that decrease significantly starting in 2031, 32. Still plenty of surplus in Trust One. Again, everything is looking good. Peter, you want to take the next slide?
Yeah. Okay, so talking about the B4 conversion from last August of 2025. So the transaction went pretty smoothly, as we mentioned. And basically, we followed the same strategy as we used for the B3 back in 2020. That is, we would convert the bonds from auction rate to a variable rate mode to a weekly reset, and then backed by a letter of credit from Barclays Bank. The key component for this last August conversion was we had a $10 million prepayment. And there were a lot of things that went with that, but key thing to keep in mind is like with the prepayment, it saved the general fund roughly over $3 million over the next 5 years. And that is like reduce LOC fees, reduce interest rates on the bonds and so forth. The debt service impact, it really goes beyond just the debt service savings, because we estimate that with the prepayment, the future Trust One draws over the next year, 10 years, which probably decrease from 58 million to 30 million. And in terms of the B4 portfolio performance to date, since August of last year, it's been doing very well. The last couple of weeks, the rates has been like 3.72%, and that's fluctuated between 4 to 8 basis points above the 1 month Treasury as our benchmark, and that's pretty good when you're just a few basis points above the Treasury. Trust Run remains strong. If we were to use the S&P 500, the market remains very strong. It's been up over 17% since last summer. So we haven't seen the latest number on the Trust One, but I'm pretty sure their performance is going to be pretty good. And again, path to sustainability based on our current plan, we don't expect to have any trust fund draws after fiscal 32-33, which is, should be good news. Dave?
Thanks. Next slide. So what happens moving forward? We need to make a formal request of the $7.9 million draw. We plan to meet with the retirement board on Thursday. I'm told the meeting will be over by the time the U.S. soccer team plays. That's good. And then get the money to the trustee, and for the trustee to get money to the investors. Next slide. Before I get to the questions, sorry about that. One of the things that I'm going to add two things that we've been thinking about in the future. So one of the things we've been talking about for a long time is finding additional revenues to help pay for this as the program moves on into the future. And so that continues to be a discussion, no specifics at this presentation. And secondly, we're doing some thinking about whether it makes sense to continue to use Trust Fund surpluses once we get out over this bulge to be more aggressive in paying down the most expensive debt. So we're on a good track now, and we're making kind of future-oriented decisions rather than decisions just to keep our head above water. So you're to be congratulated for that. And that's our presentation. Are there any questions?
Trustee,
thank you for the presentation, and I'll I'll say it's quite a relief to be in a position where we're proactively planning as opposed to defensively retracting and recoiling in horror, which is, I think, the position this board has often been in. So thank you. What is the last year that Trust One has obligations for? If you go way out in the future.
If that matches to the bond payment, which I think it does, it's fiscal year 2049-50.
Okay. And you're saying that after 2032, which isn't that far off in the scheme of things, we wouldn't be reliant on that. Right now, we've got a roughly $47 million surplus, something like that. When we get out to 2032, why aren't we thinking we'll continue using that? I mean, you just referenced that. Maybe you were saying, we
didn't build that into the long plan,
okay.
But that's one of the things we want to do some thinking on and to make some policies around, so that we can take advantage of any opportunities. If it continues to have a large surplus, having it kick out money in 2050 is not all that useful during times of fiscal struggle for the district. So if we have some surpluses after that period of time, we might be able to take advantage of that and pay out our most expensive debt, bring the payments in, and be out of this program more quickly than we had originally thought.
Okay. Is part of the reason that the Trust One surplus is very healthy right now is that overall the stock market has been doing well?
I think there's a couple of factors, and one of them is the returns have been very good. And the second factor is that health costs have not gone up by as much as we feared they might. So the long-term escalation of healthcare costs is more muted in the current estimates that we're getting.
And I know
4% long-term growth.
I know it's really perilous making predictions 8 years, 10 years out, but you're nonetheless doing that. In 2032, what are your projections that the surplus would be, or are you not trying to do that?
We are, how we've done our analysis is to assume that the surplus that exists now will be the same surplus moving forward, and that the rest of the analysis of who's the person who does the calculation? The actuarial account takes into account the differences between the growth in the investments and the growth in the expenditures.
Okay, that's really helpful. And, I'll just note that this district has been in the past criticized, rightfully, I think, for kicking the can down the road, ignoring long-term debt, et cetera. And I'm really pleased to say that this board and this administration, with your help, has really turned that story around pretty dramatically.
Last summer, we used $10 million that we had now to lessen the obligation 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 6 years from now. So that's just the opposite of what the board used to be doing.
All right. Thank you very much.
Trustee?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the presentation, and thank you, Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen, for your questions. It made me think, this projection of the surplus in the stock market. You mentioned part of it is the stock market, and I'm wondering about, we've been talking about a possible recession now for I don't know how long, that hasn't come, and but I don't know. First is Jamie Dimon, and then it's the CEO of Bank of America, all talking about this recession that's coming. And is the analysis that you're doing on that surplus taking into account like a bull market, or are we talking also about potential recessions that might be coming, or how does that?
I think, as I said before, the analysis that's done by the actuary assumes kind of a constant rate of return. So this will look better when we get better returns, and it'll look a little worse when we get worse returns. And the important thing to do is to use a good situation now to protect the downside moving forward. So using that money to pay out what we owe 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 6 years from now, with dollars we have today, is the best way to protect ourselves from that.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
This might be the very first time, Dave, that I'm actually seeing you happy. I'm not going to say effusive, but it's really wonderful to actually hear you for a trustee that's been sitting here for 8 years. It's really wonderful when our financial consultants are actually quite positive. So just thank you for all the work.
We've made some good decisions here, and
So.
the chancellor and Greg have been very important in doing that, so they should get the credit.
Oh, yes, definitely. First and foremost, but I've never seen you happy before here. So let me just make that clear. So thank you for the presentation.
That is a compliment.
Yes, it is meant to be.
Okay.
So I had a question going through this. I couldn't really figure out what the district is paying each year out of our general fund. Tell me which page that chart is on.
It's on slide 9. Oh, slide 9 in the deck, and 7 at the bottom right. So it says long-term financing plan, and it only shows the expenditures projected out over the next 10 years. One of the things that, our debt profile has a lot of variable rate debt and things that are difficult to project into the future. So we just look at the next 10 years.
So it's a combination of the dedicated and the supplemental?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Well,
you.
So I just want to thank you, Dave, Peter, and Emerson for being here tonight. And I wanted to just clarify one thing that Mr. Olson said. So Vincent McCarley, Vincent would be here, but I just wanted to say he's 14 days out from a 35th wedding anniversary and has traveled with his wife to support her in leading like a national conference. So he sent me a message being like, I know you're in good hands. I want you to know I'd be there. So I wanted to just make sure our board knew how supportive he is and the Backstrom team have been to our district. So really, thank you so much for this incredible presentation. And I want to thank you and the retirement board for their support for our district.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, congratulations.
Item 5.1, approval of all consent items. Can I get a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
So the motion was made by Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen, and the second was made by Honest.
Student trustee Malik,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez-Yuen,
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice. Trustee Johannes.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Brito.
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 9.1, presentation and action, Peralta Colleges Foundation update and consider approval of new bylaws.
Thank you so much, Board President. I wanted to, first of all, before sort of turning it over to the bylaws, I wanted to take a moment to highlight the progress of the foundation has made over the past year. Tonight, our board chair, Dr. Bill Riley, unfortunately had another conflict with tonight's meeting, and Mahari Wise just sent me an email saying, team, I'm just returning from holiday break. I'm just seeing this email with awesome update. Unfortunately, couldn't participate, but if the update is given, I expect much praise for the team and the chancellor's leadership. So wanted to say, as many of you know, last year, the foundation board and district spent considerable time discussing the future of the foundation and how best to strengthen its role as an auxiliary organization supporting our colleges and our students. Together, we adopted a phased support model that brought foundation operations more closely into alignment with the district systems and practices while preserving the foundation's independent fundraising mission. Over the past year, that work has produced meaningful results. The foundation has expanded fundraising and community engagement activities, awarded more than $250,000 in scholarships to students, established new scholarship opportunities, received a significant unrestricted gift, and strengthened its financial position. We have also re-engaged the foundation board, recruited for a foundation manager position, and continue building the infrastructure necessary for long-term sustainability. The bylaws before you today represent the next step in that work. The revised and restated bylaws modernize the foundation's governance structure, establish a governance and nominating committee, strengthen financial oversight, clarify board goals and responsibilities, and position the foundation for continued growth and success in support of Peralta's colleges and students. Rather than go through the entire slide deck, I know you've had it before you. I wanted to just present that these bylaws were approved unanimously by the foundation board. Certainly our college presidents, want to thank them, want to thank CEO Nelson and the work of the foundation board and its leadership in bringing forward new bylaws for you to approve tonight. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them. Oh, and thank you, Board President Quinlan, who also sits on the foundation board.
Move approval of this item.
The motion was made by Trustee Young Gonzalez and second by Trustee Reese. Call the question.
Student Trustee Malik.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Ewan.
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice.
Yes.
Trustee Johannes.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Brito.
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 9.2, consider adoption of the resolution authorizing the issuance of sale general obligation bonds for Measure G and an aggregate principal not to exceed $480 million. That's a big number. Approving the forms and authoring the execution and delivery of paying agent agreement, bond purchase agreement, a continuing disclosure certificate, and official statement for said bonds, and authorizing the execution of necessary documents and certificates relating to said bonds. Chancellor.
Well, thank you. That is the longest title ever. Board President, you did a great job. So before you tonight, trustees, you will consider the fourth and final issuance of Measure G general obligation bonds authorizing up to $480 million to support the voter-approved capital improvement projects across the district. Fourth and final, pretty amazing. The action completes the final bond authorization under the $800 million Measure G program approved by voters in 2018. And my just deep appreciation to the voters for their continued support of our district. That's before you tonight, trustees.
Move approval of this item.
Second.
So the motion was made by Trustee Ewan Gonzalez Ewan. And the second was by Trustee Johannes. All right.
Student Trustee Malik.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Ewan.
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice. Yes. Trustee Johannes.
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Brito.
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan.
Yes.
Motion passes.
9.3, consider approval of an agreement with ERP analysts in an amount not to exceed $4,493,000 and some change for district-wide ERT automation and functional alignment project. Chancellor?
Thank you, Board President. So tonight, trustees, you will consider approval of district-wide ERP automation and functional alignment project designed to improve our operational efficiency, modernize business processes, and enhance services for students and employees. The recommended firm was selected through a competitive RFP process.
Trustee.
Hi, Chancellor. Thank you for bringing this forward. Just a question I got from one of our constituents was in terms of the RFP that the committee saw and what's being brought forward to the board. It includes a travel budget not to exceed $75,000. What the committee saw did not include a travel budget and includes on-site hourly rates. In the board document that was not in the committee document. Can you explain the difference between the two documents and maybe a little bit about how negotiations happen between what the committee sees and the board, what comes to the board?
Yes, absolutely. What I can just do, I'll turn it over to CTO Mewele for giving a little bit of an update for the board.
Thank you, Chancellor. Thank you, board member. Thank you for the question. So as part of standard operating procedures, the committee meet and making recommendations to me who generated the RFP. After that, I have to have a review of the RFP. And once we were reviewing the RFP under the guidance of the legal counsel, Rachel Brilliant, we met with the vendor and then we have some sticking point that we wanted to make sure that the district is covered. For example, the travel was one. It was an additional travel expenses. We refused to pay for that. We declined that. And the vendor at the end decided we agreed to, they were going to cover the travel in all expenses within the price that they already proposed. If we were not changing the price. The other sticking point were around they were not a detailed project plan. And we asked for a detailed project plan and deliverables tied to the plan. So we ensure that everything will be delivered as the scheduled payments and all that stuff. So that's what we did. And that's the standard practice that when the committee make their recommendation and we go further and ensure that all language and of the contracts are beneficial to the district. So that's what we did here.
Thank you. And I guess just to follow up, if they include the $75,000 and it doesn't add additional cost to the district, do they then take that from somewhere else within their budget? Like, does it mean they cut it from some other place?
So we ensure that the $25,000 was scheduled for traveling for the next 3 years, and those are needed just for project management. For example, they have to come in and discuss those with us, and we meet with the teams, the district constituency. Those are for that. Those clauses for that. They agree to take that cost without billing the district any additional travel costs.
And they don't take that money from somewhere else in the budget, I guess.
So concerning our schedule plan and our scope of work, everything remained the same.
Okay, thank you.
And
And
the
then
payment plan too. So.
Thank you. And then once the committee sees it, it doesn't go back to the committee, right?
So basically the RFP process is those proposals get sent to the committee. The committees review the proposals. And then after their selection, it goes into a contract negotiation process where legal and, begins to negotiate the terms of that agreement. And so it doesn't go back. The selection committee is not part of that part of the process.
Okay, thank you.
And Chancellor, if I may, I want to thank the committee for doing an excellent job and making recommendations. That was not an easy task. So thank you.
So I had a question. I'm not really sure what the ERP plan is. My kind of understanding of it is it's creating our current finance and management system of documents and everything else, and building that towards the transformation. Is that correct?
Yes, there is a multiple activities, but President, for example, we have an outdated. Okay, you got it. Done.
So an ERP, just to answer the question, is our enterprise resource planning system, right? So that is the core business software, that supports human resources, payroll, finance, budgeting, purchasing, student records, and other administrative operations. So I wanted to just make sure that I clarified exactly what the ERP was first. And so go ahead.
Yes. And part of this plan is to address all the, for example, we have a very outdated payroll systems that been here for almost more than 20 years. And we need to replace and move to PeopleSoft because we have the tools to do that today with the new technology upgrade we have. We have a lot of manual processes that taking a lot of staff time. So we are trying to automate much we can so the staff can focus on serving the students and other things for the district. And also taking on all the new changes, transformative changes the district is going to be doing and for the next 2 years.
So basically this makes all those district operations much more efficient.
Yes. Okay. Efficiency is the key. Yeah.
Good.
So I had similar questions when I saw the item. It's like $4 million. What are we spending money on, et cetera? And so I spent some time with the chancellor trying to understand this and to put it in a little bit of historical context. Gosh, I guess I've been here a long time. Over 20 years ago, the district made a decision to move from a legacy system to what is commonly referred to as PeopleSoft. That initial decision, though, was just one little baby step. It was just kind of putting together the technological infrastructure to do all of the enterprise functions, HR, enrollment management, building management, et cetera. And then every couple of years, the administration would come to us and say, well, we need another $3 million to upgrade it. And the board was like, what? And eventually we got used to the idea that, oh, okay, we just bought the chassis. Now we need to fill it out. And I think we used to refer to it as we bought the vanilla version of it. But really, I guess it's all vanilla version of it, and you need to then customize it for your district. In past years, what we've done is we'd typically gone to Oracle itself and had Oracle come in and do all of this work. But this year, we went out, we did an RFP. We said, we're going to not just automatically go to Oracle, we're going to find other vendors who might be able to provide better value for our needs. The other part that I was particularly gratified to hear as I was having this conversation with the chancellor was that that in this process, we were able to integrate a lot of the work of the Transformation Task Force. So, a lot of the Transformation Task Force issues have been focused on the merger, but that task force has done a lot more than just looking at the merger, and it's been identifying all sorts of areas where we could do better serving students. And so by having kind of deep conversations with on-the-ground users, we were able to identify gaps in where the enterprise software wasn't quite working the way we needed to, and then we were able to build that into the RFP process. So there are a lot of roll-on benefits to the work that we're doing. And, Leslie Blackie was talking about the value of shared governance work. And I think that what we can see in this, in just this item is one of those areas of real benefit to having people on the ground, having students, having classified workers, having faculty members, having administrators all looking and saying, well, where are we struggling? Where are we having problems? And then we're seeing that some of the value of that being integrated into the overall functioning of the district. So I'm just really pleased to see this item as just an additional roll-on benefit to all of that work. And I want to really thank the people the many hundreds of people who've engaged in that process. Shared governance works when we pay attention to people's real lived experiences and then empower them to actually take action. So thank you very much. And I'd like to move approval of this item.
Second.
Motion was made by trustee Gonzalez-Yon and the second was made. Yeah, okay. Yes, trustee Johannes. Call the question.
Student trustee Malik,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez-Ewan,
Yes.
trustee Napoli Bellarice, trustee Johannes, trustee Gonzalez Brito,
Yes.
trustee Quinlan.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 9.4, consider approval of delegation of authority during board summer recess 2026.
Thank you, Board President. This is a standard item, trustees, to authorize the Board President to approve, if needed, contracts during the Board of Trustees recess in July.
Move approval.
Second.
Same team. Gonzalez-Ewan and trustee Johannes.
Student trustee Malik,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez-Ewan,
Yes.
trustee Napoli Bellarice, trustee Johannes,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Brito,
Yes.
trustee Quinlan.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Board of trustee reports.
Mr. President,
down here.
do we need to approve items 9.5 and 9.6 that you're going to recuse yourself from? Did we already do that? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at an older agenda. I pulled it
One more
up for
week
reference.
during this meeting.
Yeah, I pulled it up to make reference to last week, 2 weeks ago. All right, thank you.
Okay, now it's still your turn.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's the end of my term already. 1 year in, and I've done a little bit of reflecting as my time here at Peralta has come to an end, not only in this term, but just overall as a student. When I first started here, I started working in the Career and Transfer Center at Berkeley City College, where I met Andrea Williams, who was mentioned earlier. And when she first met me, she met a quiet kid who wanted to get out of here as fast as possible, because I saw all my friends at universities and I was like, why am I left behind? And within the first 2 months, I said, I don't want to leave as fast as possible. I want to stay as long as I can. And even though I'd love to stay an extra year, I think everyone around me is saying, no, you got to go. You got places to be. And unfortunately, I say, okay, I agree. But the past few weeks over the summer, I have continued to work in the transfer center, and it has felt like a full circle moment, because I have students who are starting their journeys now at Berkeley City College or at the Peralta District as a whole, and who are coming and asking a million questions. And I have those million answers because I once had those questions as well. But as my time comes to an end, I think the biggest thing I've learned in this role is like the power of confidence, and to really believe that if you're in this room, you're in there for a reason. And I think I've learned that working with the trustees, working with the chancellor, all the administrators, all the presidents as well, to use your voice, to empower those around you. And the biggest thing is to invite people to join you in your vision. It's a surreal moment. I think surrounding myself with community college students, and recently having started an internship at another university, being surrounded by students who are four-year university students, who only there I realized how valuable my experiences here have been, because over there I realized everyone comes from different backgrounds and has different goals. And I realized, wow, I am feeling like an outsider all of a sudden, like I once was when I first came here. But from here, I've learned that should not deter me. It does not change who I am at all. and I still have built up this confidence to march my own way forward. It's okay if it's by myself at first, but I'm going to take what I learned from this role, and that is to invite others in through all the committee meetings and task force meetings, the 1,000 of them there were every single month. I learned to not look at kind of failures we have, but look at places to improve. I think that's what many of us here always mention. How can we improve for next time? And that's how we've been able to do so much in the past year. Sometimes it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like it's been a year, but we're here. I think before I end off, I just wanted to give a sincere thank you to Sasha and Tashetta as well. The assistants, you guys have answered all of our questions that me and Leo had and really just helped us throughout this whole journey. And a big thank you to the Chancellor. I just want you to know it is amazing to get email responses like that on like late nights and weekend mornings when I feel like, oh, I'm the only one writing this email. Nope, I get an answer immediately. And just having a guiding figure. I know I can text you whenever and you help, not only in this role, but just with life. I know I've sent you all my acceptance emails saying, look, I got here. But you are genuinely, one of the first people I contact and a mentor in my life that I am very happy to leave Peralta with, just as well with everyone here. And yeah, I'm going to definitely miss this place, but I don't plan on going out forever. I plan on coming back. Yeah, I still live here.
You got accepted?
Oh yeah. So Peralta was amazing because I got into all these amazing universities. I can join my friends now. I was accepted to MIT, Yale, Berkeley, LA, and as of two and a half hours ago, I got into Stanford University as well. And yeah, I thought I made a decision, and now I'm gonna make another decision. So you guys might see me wearing a cap or a hoodie. We'll see.
Stanford has a better football team.
That is with so many conflicting opinions.
All right. Well, congratulations again. I was going to say this last part at the beginning. So since he said Stanford has a better football team, I'm going to say stick to the East Coast, and I wore my Knicks colors on purpose. So go Knicks. All right. I do want to say, I mentioned before, I'm the chair of the Veteran Commission for Alameda County, and we're having another stand down this weekend, the 26th and 27th. I'm just going to read it because it's easier. At St. Vincent de Paul on Sao Paulo in Oakland, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the services are for, like I said, veterans, legal and court support with criminal court clean slate relief and child support education, benefits and healthcare regarding veteran benefits and such, life resources such as housing assistance, employment support, and life coaching, and then personal care like showers, laundry facilities, overnight stays, food, and things, and clothing, and have the sort. So again, this Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The court will only be there on Friday, just to say that out loud. And the final part, while Dr. Johnson was speaking about which event? No, which event? It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. Well, there was an event at Merritt, right? Yes, and building opportunity for self-sufficiency. And I sent him a quick note. I was like, I'm the president of the board, right? So yeah, I just appreciate the collaboration. Hopefully we continue to do that. I believe Boss will actually be at the stand down as well. So they're all up in my life. And go Knicks again. All right.
Comments from other board members?
I just wanted to say congratulations, Malik. That's really amazing. And to have a good summer to everybody. So
Was it a few weeks ago, Malik? Maybe a few weeks ago, we took a picture out there, and hopefully it'll be posted somewhere. But I got an opportunity to talk to you, and I have to say that I was utterly surprised when you told me that you were a shy young man, because how I see you here is this amazing and evolved and incredibly mature individual. So I think it's a true testament in terms of you come here one way and then you leave another way, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So congratulations, congratulations. And the other thing that I would say is thank you, Leslie, thank you, Eleni, and thank you, Jeff, for coming in and addressing. That meeting was slightly unseemly. It was slightly chaotic. It was slightly disappointing, and also very surprising given the incredible evidence and given the incredible communication and the meetings and the voices and the opinions and all that transpired. And I didn't want the shared governance voices, and I didn't want all the work that everybody has done to feel like it was not recognized. So thank you for just addressing that, because it means a lot and it's really important. And to your point earlier today or earlier at the meeting, so much has been accomplished as a result of all that's been done. And I think that this is going to be the future of Peralta. And it is an incredibly effective way to govern, but it's also an incredibly, and maybe the most successful way to go forward. So I am very excited about all that's happening. And again, thank you for addressing the June 9 board meeting comments.
Thank you. This is our last meeting of this year, and I think it's been a really hard year. I think we just need to recognize that it started out really hard. It stayed hard, and we got a lot done. I think dissent is actually really, really important. It makes us honest. It makes us have to respond to real questions. And I think that by and large, for the most part, the culture of this district is so different that we can have dissent and then get past it and then move on. And I think that's what we're doing. I think Ion and Leo, you both did such a good job as trustees representing students. And so thank you for that. And I think it's really worth noting that we've had generations of really excellent student trustees for years. And so, you're in really good company. You're in really, really good company. So, whether you go to the freezing, unpleasant, difficult environments of the East Coast, or whether you stay in the sunny, warm, lovely environment of California, I'm sure you're going to do really fine. And either decision, of course, is equal. Thank you.
I just said one comment, which is unusual for me, but actually it's kind of tied into a couple of comments. First of all, thank you, presidents, for your presentation. They were amazing to see the new programs, the energy at the colleges, pushing our student success, the documentation of that success in our graduations. I mean, it shows where we're headed, not where we've been, but where we're headed. And I think that's what we need to talk a lot more about and let go of the past. And if we're going to use it, just use it to push us forward. And I think the colleges are doing a great job of that. And I was reading an email earlier today about a program I hadn't heard about before at Laney College, the A2 MEND program. And they were talking about barbershop discussions that they're holding in the cosmetology department with young Black men and mentors. And it's quite amazing. So if you get a chance to go through your emails and check it out, it's about a 20-minute discussion about the topic. And I think, again, it's just another commitment to our students, student support, student success. And I want to thank the presidents for all they do for the colleges and everybody up here what they do for our students. Announcements?
Love your future. Sorry.
Enrollment is open for the summer and fall terms. Visit the Peralta website to start the application or enrollment process. The Peralta Community College District will be closed on Friday, July 3rd in observance of Independence Day. Save the date. The Peralta Pumpkin Pursuit 5K and Children's Fun Run will be back at beautiful Merritt College on Saturday, October 17th, 2026, and with a new 10K option. Woo! Available. Registration will open soon, so keep an eye on the Peralta website for details.
During the meeting.